Welcome to the Full Spectrum Show. Today we are looking at quite an interesting company, and that is Kratos. What an awesome name, by the way. We have been playing a little bit of God of War recently, so I think that's really awesome of a name for a company like this, making a large amount of unmanned, well, war vehicles, I should say. Very cool. But the main thing about this article is going to be the OBSS, or the Offboard Sensing Station. So what this is, nobody really quite knows, but it is going to be basically the carrier of next generation sensors and things like that. And I'm assuming this is going to be pretty variable in its loadouts, because you're going to want to have cheaper things, obviously, so that way you couldn't put these instead of people in positions for like targeting information and things like that. So I think that's going to be really interesting to see come out. And the other thing that I wanted to say about this is all the other crazy drones that Kratos is making. I mean, of course, you have this, I believe it's the XQ-58, which is what this really awesome picture here is. I'm not sure who took that, but this article on the War Zones by Brett Tingley. So thank you, Brett, for bringing all this interesting information to us. But they're also the makers of the UTAP-22 Mako, which is this little guy, or the Loyal Wingman. So this is kind of a auxiliary unit to regular flying aircraft. So that's really interesting. So using drones to also use as not only missile carriers, but as backups for when you're flying around in case you actually did get in a dogfight. I'm curious about how dogfights would actually pull out, or if we'll ever see dogfights again like in World War II or Vietnam or things like that, with the advention of beyond visual range missiles and things like that. So this is really interesting to see where they're going with this, and I wonder if a lot of this program is going to replace a lot of other things that we already use, manned aircraft specifically, because if this can carry a whole suite of different sensors and things like that, I wonder if it's going to replace things like the AWACS, for example. Very interesting. Would this be a replacement for basically airborne detection and warning systems? I'm not really sure. This has the ability to put commanders up front or a lot closer to the battle, which is very important to make on-the-fly decisions and making calls like that. So would it replace that? Maybe not, but it could be a really good auxiliary for something like this. You could use the AWACS further back and then send, further sensors in to detect in dangerous circumstances. So very expensive, though. I mean, they're talking about it could hold up to $10 million sensors. So you wouldn't want to lose something like that in a mission. So there could be a lot of different possibilities for this, including maybe even, it looks pretty sleek, probably has a pretty low cross radar signature. So I'd assume it's semi-stealthy. So it could be also used as a surveillance plane, I'd imagine. Very cool stuff coming from this company, Kratos. And, it could also be possible that you could use this on strike missions, even with just sensors. I mean, we already have things like the EA-18G Growler, which is essentially an F-18 variant that is specifically designed for electronic warfare capabilities. You could see all these pods. Those aren't missiles. Those are actually electronic warfare pods from jamming pods and things like that. Airborne electronic attack. And I know that these things are used for SEAD missions, which is basically anti-aircraft missions. So really interesting where the state of modern war is going. And it's really hard to tell all these electronic suites that are on these and how effective they are in an actual combat situation with a near-peer adversary. How good are electronic warfare defenses, things like that. That's something that I'm going to definitely be looking more into, because this is really interesting stuff and makes me really curious to see where the future of unmanned warfare is going. This has been the Full Spectrum. Thanks for watching.